Hi there, I'm Mary, and I'm coming at you live from my kitchen here in Dana Point. I'm so honored and humbled by Julie's request and invitation to share a bit of my story with you today. And to be honest, it's really more about what the Lord is doing in my life than it is about me. My hope is that the words I speak today land exactly as they need to on you right now and provide a little new breath for your soul. So, as you may have noticed, I'm wearing a scarf on my head, and I have a scarf on my head because I don't have any hair on my head, and I don't have any hair on my head at the moment because I am currently in treatment for leukemia. What? I know. Long story short, I thought I had a sports injury, but the pain in my ribs turned out to be acute lymphoblastic leukemia, which is curable, but requires a little bit of work. So the diagnosis came at the beginning of May, and within 1 week I was at the City of Hope with chemo in my arm, surrounded by the love of the Lord and nobody else, because no visitors, no family or friends during COVID. It's kind of funny. So let me pause here. Normally at this part of the story, people's response is, what? How can this be? Why do bad things happen to good people? I can't believe you have to go through this. I can't believe you have to go through this alone in the hospital. The treatments must stink. And all of that, for me, I just need you to know, is irrelevant to the real narrative that's going on. And the real narrative that's going on is that I am on a journey with the Lord, and that's what's happening. How do I want to show up in this journey is really the big question. So to give us some context, let me say to you that I believe that the Bible and the Word is truth. And several times inside of the Bible, we are told that we will suffer and suffering will happen. And in the book of Romans, Paul tells us that we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him and have been called according to his purpose. And then James challenges us by saying, consider it pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance, and perseverance must finish its work so that you may become mature and complete and not lacking anything. And the only way I can live out these two things is to give myself over completely, surrendered to the Lord. At the very beginning, before our diagnosis, Dave and I were in the parking lot at the hematologist, and we prayed that the Lord would lead us to the right doctors, and we prayed for his leadership and lordship over this situation in our lives. And all I kept thinking was, God is allowing this, and so I must have work to do. So I made a few decisions early on, subconsciously probably. The first is that we were going to pray without ceasing, praying for our family, our doctors, a cure, all the things, all the time. And the second thing that I decided was that I was going to worship the Lord. I created a victory list on my phone, on Spotify, and all of these songs serve to remind me of the Lord's goodness, of his mercy, his grace, his power, my reliance on him. And if I'm spending time worshiping, I'm not spending time Googling, Candy Crushing, or on social media. The music comforted me during sleepless nights because of steroids. Before, during, and after procedures I'd rather not be doing. Quiet afternoons, nap time, or energized mornings when I had the most energy. And it certainly developed a track in my mind that allowed for better thoughts to be filling my brain instead of things that maybe were not as helpful. The third thing that I decided to do was to really commit to guarding my mind. And this has been a practice of mine for many, many years. I've always been very careful about what I've allowed to enter into my mind in the form of music, books, movies, conversations, all of it. But I put it on hyperdrive, for better or for worse. And Paul in the book of Philippians says this: fix your thoughts on what is true, honorable, right, pure, and lovely, and admirable. Think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. And I really did take it to a new level. riots, protests, political and cultural mayhem, I couldn't play the game. And so I really left it up to the people who had the capacity to petition the Lord to enter into those situations and do what the Lord needed to do in them. And I just couldn't fight that front, even though I'm concerned. My number one priority is to cure cancer, specifically the one that happens to be in my body right now. So ultimately, I decided that I only get to live this life once, and I'm going to do it as the best version of me as possible. And the best version of me follows the Lord. So the Lord has shown up mightily. He's sent people to stand in for those that couldn't be with me in certain situations. He's rallied an army of prayer warriors, meal makers, staffers, and team members at our shake shop in San Juan. He's grown our business, despite me, and he's blessed me with a peace that surpasses all understanding. It's truly supernatural. So the last bone marrow biopsy came back clear for leukemia, which is very exciting, and it has paved the way for the stem cell transplant. We found a donor that matches 10 of the 10 markers that the doctors are looking for. And the Lord has also shown me in a loving way some places in my heart that maybe were a little hard, maybe a little prone to judgment. And he's kind of called me to action on some of those things, giving me a lesson that even in the midst of hard things, there's still some learning to be done. So I had somebody ask me, what do I listen to? What do I read that helps me be so positive? And it's the Bible. It's the Word. I really began my intentional pursuit of a great relationship with the Lord about 10 or 13 years ago. Probably more like 13. And it started with a women's Bible study, and I did another Bible study and another Bible study. And then I started reading devotions, and I got involved in women's ministry, first as a participant and then as a leader in some areas. And I just kept growing and really building my skills, if you will, and my faith, really building my faith. And sometimes I recognized that I needed to grow a particular thing. Like I made a commitment to really learn how to pray. I wanted to be like my grandmas. You know, whenever we needed something, we'd call on my grannies and they would pray for us. And I wanted to be like them. And I knew that had to start at some point, because you just don't become 77 and an awesome prayer warrior. It might take a little learning. So I journal, I read devotions, and I have to say this because it's so important. My prayer life and all of it is imperfect and messy. And there are days where I'm journaling for hours, and then there are days where I literally am just signing on to the Bible app so I don't mess up my streak. I know, it's bad. But I do read a few verses, and the Lord's word never, it always lands someplace where it's going to need to. So here's the thing. I want you to be encouraged, because if your daily disciplines aren't necessarily where you want them to be, it's fine. The Lord knows we're imperfect and messy. He knows that. And what we need to do is show up with a mustard seed of faith and a willingness to try. And it's inside of that He will multiply. Ah, thank goodness, right? Thank goodness. And so that's what I do every day. I just show up and bask in His presence and trust that He's going to do what needs to be done for me. So I thank you. I thank you for letting me into your life, into your day today, and letting me share some things that are going on and share some things that I've learned. And I hope that it's useful to you, and that you might find something in there that will take you to the next level. I know it was useful for me, truly. It was useful for me. I was in a rough patch, and so this was a great way to bring me back and remind me of all of the goodness of the Lord. in this space. So I thank you. I honor you. I'm blessed by you, and be well, and we'll see you soon. Bye now.